So for those who are not aware, Julian Assange hearing day one was today in the UK. This is an incredibly important case because basically the way that Stella Assange, his wife, has described it is that this is a life or death situation for Julian Assange at this point in time. The way it stands right now, if the UK extradites Julian Assange to the United States, I think we all know he would not win here in the US, right? They don't seem to want to handle it in the UK. However, they can also send Julian Assange back to his home, which is Australia, which would be better for him. Today was day one of the hearing. Tomorrow will be day two. We will finish up with day two on Thursday. But when I talk about Julian Assange, I want you to understand this is not just about a press-related issue with one person. This is about censorship. This is about free speech. And this is about someone who is a political prisoner who's being held captive for revealing the truth about the US government and war crimes, which we have a right to know. And the truths that Julian Assange revealed, it wasn't the first time the US has been guilty of war crimes. We can also go back to the war in Vietnam. Had it not been for journalists like Seymour Hersh, will we know about the massacre in Vietnam? War crimes, US soldiers slaughtering women, children. I actually met Julian Assange's father and his brother. This was over 10 months ago. I want you to hear one of the questions that I asked them because I actually got to talk to them in person. Listen to this and then we'll get into what happened today, because I want you to hear about what happened here. How often are you allowed to see him?
His family can see him twice a week now.
Okay.
Yeah, so he gets 2 visits a week with Stella and the children. So yeah, that's really good that he's able to get that. It was for a long time, he didn't have those sorts of visiting rights. For instance, during the COVID period, he didn't have a visit, I think, for 8 or 9 months. And you can see in Ithaca, the film, that he was, they had these things called purple calls, which was a video call that you were allowed to do from the prison to Stella, his wife.
What would you say the conditions are like in Belmarsh? I've never been to a prison or a maximum security prison. What would you say the conditions are like, at least for him?
No, most certainly. When he first went there, he was locked in what they call the health wing, which the prisoners known as the health wing, the hell wing. And there you're isolated with a couple. The pod of the health wing each one has 4 beds, and there you're isolated with people who have gone mad or wish to die, or in very dire straits on their deathbed. So it's a place which increases the intensity of isolation and the intensity of depressive illnesses. It's quite bizarre, and particularly as the psychiatrist Dr. Daly was felt to be unsympathetic. She didn't have a sympathetic character. So the prisoners all got together and wrote a petition to the prison governor to get Julian moved into association, that is, into the prison proper. Association in the over 50s, although Julian at that stage was 48, I think, or 49. That failed, so the prisoners did another petition to have Julian moved into association. Again, that failed, so the prisoners did a third petition, which succeeded. So the prisoners, despite their circumstances and their crimes, took the most vigorous and firm and determined move to extend to Julian humanity, the great humanist organizations of the world were still waiting for something to happen. You know,
So what I wanted to show you here was, and damn, what a difference weights make, because like I look very different now. Like I look more toned now. But anyway, I wanted to show you this because I wanted you to hear what they actually were doing to Julian Assange when he was first brought to Belmarsh. They wouldn't even let him associate with other prisoners. They basically isolated him, you know, so it's like a mental type of torture. They didn't allow him to communicate with other people. They basically have been trying to break him. Now, today, Stella Assange has come forward and she actually brought this up. And this is what I wanted people to see here. It says, wife says, day X hearing for Julian Assange will determine if he lives or dies. This could very well be the final hearing for Julian. And that's coming from Stella. So it says here, I wish they get rid of this stupid tag on the side. Okay, there we go. It says here, Stella Assange, the wife of Julian Assange, said Monday that the jailed WikiLeaks founder will likely die if he is extradited from Britain to the United States, where he could be imprisoned for the rest of his life for publishing classified documents, including numerous files exposing U.S. war crimes. Assange's final appeal is scheduled to be heard on Tuesday by the UK High Court. The Australian publisher's supporters are calling it Day X. Goes on to say there's no possibility for further appeal in this jurisdiction. Assange said her husband, who is 52 years old and suffers from physical and mental health problems, including heart and respiratory issues, is very weak and in a very difficult place. This case will determine if he lives or dies. And I did see earlier this morning that apparently Julian Assange could not appear at the hearing because he's too sick. So this is what they've been trying to do. And they do this to other political prisoners as well. They try to break them mentally and physically. And I think the U.S. government doesn't even want Julian Assange to be extradited to the United States. I think they want Julian Assange to die in Belmarsh. I really do. So they've been trying to break him in Belmarsh. Now, Stella was there earlier this morning outside of the court, and I do want to play this excerpt from her here.
Wow. Thank you, everyone, for coming here today for Julian. He'll be very moved to know that so many people showed up today. Whatever happens today and tomorrow and this week, please keep on showing up. Be there for Julian and for us and for you until Julian is free. Free Julian Assange. Thank you. Thank you. We have 2 big days ahead. We don't know what to expect. But you're here because the world is watching. They have to know they can't get away with this.
Yes! Yes!
Julian needs his freedom, and we all need the truth. Thank you.
So they did have a great turnout there earlier today. I do know that Indie Left News from Indie News Network, I know that he, is this the one I want? Yeah, here's another one. I know that he actually started streaming like at 3 o'clock this morning in the US because of the time difference in the UK. So if you go over to Indie News Network, they have like a long stream where you can see more information. Whoopsie. And I do want you to see all the people out here. So this is from Stella, and she posted extraordinary support at court in London for day X. This is what it looked like when I walked out when we broke for lunch. Tomorrow, after day 2 of arguments, we will march from the court to Downing Street. So you can see everyone out here. And you know what I think is happening? I think they're really trying to make an example out of Julian Assange because he revealed war crimes. But my thing is, so what? You know, I mean, someone put it here so beautifully. David said Snowden actually committed a crime, which is why he left the country. Julian only published classified documents, which is not a crime in the United States. Very well put there. You'll hear a little bit here from Stella talking about the CIA's plot to take him down. I'm not going to be able to play the whole thing because I think there may be copyright, but I'll play a little bit.
The US and UK are happy to talk about political prisoners abroad, but they've created a political prisoner of their own. At every stage, the law has been abused in order to victimize Julian. He has been silenced, he has been disappeared. The last time Julian was allowed to attend his own court hearing was in January 2021. Every time he's requested to be there in person, those requests have been denied. Julian did nothing wrong. He exposed war crimes committed by known individuals. Those who committed the war crimes or responsible for those war crimes have not been held accountable. Julian is in prison because WikiLeaks is a publisher that specializes in the secrets that states keep the most hidden. Julian revealed war crimes by the US government, the world's superpower, in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the fact that it had normalized, institutionalized torture. And that superpower took revenge. The position of the UK right now is that it will extradite a publisher to the country that conspired to murder him. How can the UK government even contemplate the extradition of the man who the US was trying to assassinate? This assassination plot was as revenge for what WikiLeaks had published. The story has over 30 US intelligence officials, including very senior and named, going on record and saying that the US government was actively plotting to assassinate Julian inside the UK. This is incredible. This is a country plotting to assassinate a journalist because of what he has published. This is
We'll have to stop it there because, like I said, I can't play too much of it. But yeah, so day 2 of the hearing is tomorrow, you know, and for those of us, a lot of us that do independent media, investigative journalists as well, the censorship issue is a big one. And I've known a number of people that have been deplatformed, people that have been banned on platforms like PayPal and Venmo and also Patreon as well. It's a big issue. It's a real problem. And like, this is not we shouldn't care about that situation. I want you all to understand, if Julian Assange falls, who else is going to fall? There goes your free press. Because once they come after him, they're going to come after all the rest of us. There goes your free press. There goes your free speech. All of it just out the window. So I know some people tell me that they don't feel like this is an important issue. I think if you care about censorship and if you care about free speech, this is an important issue. And I sincerely hope things go well tomorrow, because it's crazy. And it's not just him, right? It's not just him. It's Mumia, you know, it's Leonard Peltier. There are a number of political prisoners that if you read their stories, you'll see these people didn't do anything wrong. You know, how is it wrong for a publisher to publish information? So it's very important